Did you know that The Last of Us Part 2 almost had a drastically different storylines in terms of the PTSD scenes? There were multiple scenes that was cut and lost levels that were showcased in the Part 2 remastered version that showed more of the impact of the PTSD that Joel's death leaves on Ellie. And in this video, we are diving into the abandoned storylines that never made it into the final game, revealing fascinating insights into the game's development and developers' original vision. The Last of Us Part 2 story is already incredibly powerful, but as we discussed, there were multiple scenes that were even more heartbreaking and emotional moments that were ultimately left on the cutting room floor. So these scenes didn't make it into the part two's narrative and was shown in the remastered version as lost levels. So we will take a look at a couple of scenes, a few of the scenes that showcases Ellie's PTSD. So one of the first scenes were that of the boar scene that didn't make it into the final game. So this was an unseen event in the final game and was part of the game's early development. So some of the early concept art and design documents reveal the initial vision for this scene, including the world design and the character designs. So mainly the trouble that Ellie finds herself in after Joel's death and how it is shown in the game as an analogy, um, showing that the boar is analogous to the Joel's character in the game and the pain that Joel's death inflicts on Ellie's life. So the boar scene is one such potentially very important scene that got cut in the final game, and it showcases how Ellie was being affected by Joel's death, and the cries of the boar in this scene echoes the final moments of Joel's death at the hands of Abby. So this is one of the most important scenes that was cut from the game, and honestly, if you ask me, this should have stayed in the game. Also, there was another scene involving a sewer section where Ellie was crawling through the sewer and sees flashback of Joel's face on one of the dead uh, character in the game, and this was also cut from the final game as I think the game's development time didn't give Naughty Dog enough time to explore these scenes. There was also talks of Abby and Lev's story and a deeper dive into the relationship. There were originally more plans for Abby's character arc, including potential motivations and backstory elements that were ultimately removed. Abby was initially meant to die in the game, but Neil Druckmann and the writers, after seeing the performance between Laura Bailey as Abby and the love character, uh, finally thought that this is a quite a powerful and resonating relationship, similar to how Joel and Ellie's relationship was in the first game, and ultimately decided against killing Abby. And this significantly changed the game's story in the end. There was also talks of a cut Ellie storyline, like defining the scars of her past, which revealed early plans for Ellie's emotional journey, exploring her struggle with the trauma of the events of Last of Us Part 1 and the consequences of her actions. Ultimately, most of this content was cut, which examined the abandoned storyline surrounding Ellie's relationship with Joel and the impact of his death on her. Most of the content was then crystallized into the game's final scene, where Ellie tries to start forgiving Joel, but the director's commentary from the remastered version of the game points to more such scenes that were finally cut in the final release of the game. Overall, I think These cut content should have been in the game. It would have provided more context towards Ellie's PTSD and the relationship between Joel and Ellie. And we should have had more flashback scenes that should have been placed towards the beginning of the game instead of the abrupt and quick death that Joel encountered in the game. He should that death scene should have come much later, towards at least the half of the game, where we had enough flashbacks to reconnect with Joel's and Ellie's relationship initially, and after that it should the death scene should have come. So let me know what you guys thought about the abandoned storylines and Joel's death in the game, and should Naughty Dog have left more of these scenes, especially the PTSD scenes in the game? Let me know in the comments below.